Coming up on Lexington Now, a major announcement for downtown, honoring founder of Breeders' Cup and remembering Isaac Murphy. This and more up next on this week's edition of Lexington Now. I'm Sherelle Roberts, and welcome to another edition of Lexington Now, where we take a look at the news that shapes your urban county government. Mayor Jim Gray was joined by Lieutenant Governor Crit Llewellyn to announce a big infusion of cash that's going toward the Town Branch Commons project.
We are so honored to have our Lieutenant Governor with us today. She is serving her 7th governor since 1974, and along the way, in addition to various appointed positions, she has also managed to squeeze in a couple of wins for state auditor. That was in 2003 and 2007. It is my great honor, great privilege to introduce Lieutenant Governor Crit Llewellyn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Gray. What a great time to be in Lexington with all of the excitement surrounding Breeders' Cup and all of the preparations underway. Welcome to our legislators and to our council members for also being here this morning. This is a great opportunity this week to showcase Lexington to the world, and Governor Beshear and I are so proud to be part of that. But today we're here for another exciting step forward for Lexington. We are announcing today a $3.2 million grant to advance the Town Branch Commons Trail Project. This trail is a critical link in a visionary urban trail project that will connect downtown Lexington with area neighborhoods, parks, and historic sites. The grant is being awarded through the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet from the Federal Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality, or CMAQ, program. With this funding, we take another giant stride toward the realization of a shared vision for a greenway network and linear park threading through and uniting this community. As part of that network, the Town Branch Commons Linear Park will promote alternative transportation by attracting runners, walkers, and bicyclists. It will have the added benefit of encouraging outdoor recreation and exercise, which promotes cleaner air, better public health, environmental awareness, tourism, and business. And it will be an invaluable asset for Lexington and the greater community, not just today, but for generations to come. The Town Branch Commons Midland section, which will be funded by this grant, will run about a half mile along Midland Avenue between Main and 3rd Streets, from Thoroughbred Park here to Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden, all in downtown Lexington. This is part of a larger 2.5-mile trail that will eventually connect two other segments of the Greenway, Town Branch Trail and Legacy Trail. It will serve as both a recreational focal point and a stepping-off place for visitors and residents alike to access tourism, attractions, restaurants, and downtown business areas. This project will accelerate Lexington's already considerable momentum in tourism and economic development. And projects like this one also help continue the momentum we are seeing all across the Commonwealth. The state is moving in the right direction. We're setting records and gaining national recognition in economic development. Our unemployment rate is now at 5%, down from nearly 11% at the height of the recession, and we've been below the national average for a full year. In education, our student performance has improved tremendously. Our high school graduation rate stands at 88%, the 10th highest in the nation, and we are hailed as a national leader for our successful implementation of health care reform, and that links directly to this project. To have a healthy Commonwealth, we must have clean air, and this funding helps us in working toward that goal by making walking and biking a practical alternative to short car trips. That in turn means less motor traffic, reduced emissions, cleaner air, and better health. So Mayor Gray, congratulations on the vision to move this project to reality. And with that, I would like to present this check to Mayor Jim Gray for the Town Branch Commons project.
For more information about this and other updates to the project, you can log on to the city's website. It's lexingtonky.gov. As we head into the Breeders' Cup, the founder of the event is being remembered. Mayor Jim Gray, along with the family of the late John Gaines, gathered for an announcement.
On behalf of the Triangle Foundation Board of Directors, I would like to welcome everyone to the ceremony recognizing one of thoroughbred industry's finest leaders. First, we'd like to welcome you to Thoroughbred Park. Thoroughbred Park is a space that defines Lexington's devotion to and dominance in the equine world. The park infuses the viewer with the depth of that devotion through statuary and 45 plaques honoring the men and women who spent their lives breeding, training, racing, and owning those magnificent animals. The location of this park, at the intersection of East Main Street and Midland Avenue, is emblematic of the early straightaway races pioneers held on Lexington streets in the 1780s. The history, the nostalgia, the people, and the horses are all here in Thoroughbred Park, one of 4 parks developed by the Triangle Foundation. Thoroughbred Park is one of the world's most unique cultural and historical landmarks. Never before has a more stunning tribute been made to the beloved horses, its owners and breeders, for their innumerable contributions to a region. The 2 3/4 acre park is divided into 5 major areas, each a lifelike vignette from the world of racing. The Knoll, nestled within the peaceful treed 1/4 acre setting, an outdoor museum commemorating racing's best and brightest, starts both human and equine. Lexington Grove, dedicated to Lexington, which is on the east end of the park, one of thoroughbred racing's most revered champions. This beautiful site showcases a half-size bronze statue of the 19th century stallion who for 16 years was America's leading sire. The Meadow, deciduous and evergreen trees ascend the multi-level oasis in which bronze mares and foals frolic as visitors stroll along walkways and enjoy the view from inviting seating areas. The handcrafted stone wall, reminiscent of those found in traditional bluegrass horse farms, separates the upper and lower portion of the meadows. The track, which is behind me, here the excitement of racing springs to life as 7 life-size bronze thoroughbreds and jockeys race towards the finish line on a track similar in appearance to the real ones. Willie Shoemaker, Pat Day, Chris McCarron, Randy Romero, Don Bloomfield, Jerry Bailey, Chris Perrette, they're all there, sporting bronze racing silks cast from actual silks donated by prominent stables. The winner's circle, an immortal photo finish, 2 bronze champions strain neck and neck towards the imaginary wire at the west end of the park. In addition to these dramatic statues, the winner's circle sports a large flower bed, a pool, part reflective, part powered by water jets, lifting streams of water symbolizing fans cheering their horse to victory in a granite plaza. It is only fitting we are here today at Thoroughbred Park, 1, to pay tribute to an individual whose tremendous contributions to the thoroughbred industry have made an everlasting impact, and 2, to kick off an historic week for Lexington, Keeneland, and the Breeders' Cup. At this time, I would like to ask Healy Bell to come to the podium to announce the Triangle Foundation's 46th Thoroughbred Park Walk of Fame honoree. Healy.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is truly an exciting time, as y'all well know. The Breeders' Cup has come to Lexington. For the first time in 31 years, the Breeders' Cup has come to Lexington. And thanks to the efforts of Bill Thomason and all of his team, Craig Fravel and your team, to Kip Cornett, and the Breeders' Cup Festival Week, to Mary Quinn Raymer and Visit Lex and all that they've done in promoting the Breeders' Cup. And certainly to Mayor Gray and his organization and the community. Lexington is celebrating the Breeders' Cup. And there's no one who would cherish that moment more than John Gaines. As y'all well know, John Gaines was a dreamer, a visionary, and he was the one who started and founded the idea of the Breeders' Cup. And so we celebrate John Gaines today. And with that, this plaque and dedication.
For this and more information about all of the activities surrounding the Breeders' Cup, you can log on to the city's website. It's lexingtonky.gov. And coming up after the break, honoring Hall of Fame jockey Isaac Murphy.
Rainwater that washes down our storm sewers goes directly into our creeks and streams, taking with it what's on the ground. So if you leave a little litter or pet waste on a sidewalk near Versailles Road, it goes into Wolf Run Creek. Don't trash the bluegrass.
Did you know, as a citizen of Lexington and Fayette County, you can view archived council meetings, special GTV3 programs, and various other meetings on the web at lexingtonky.gov. You can also watch meetings and events live via streaming. Just go to lexingtonky.gov and click on the GTV3 button in the lower right-hand corner. By pressing this button, it will take you to GTV3's live and archived video page. Click either the live button or the archived video button. Press the live video button to watch live streaming of programs or meetings. Press the Archive button and scroll through the list to watch past meetings or GTV3 programs. Discover government at work through transparency and effective communications, provided by the Division of Government Communications. Visit lexingtonky.gov or call LexCall 311 for more information.
Welcome back to the show. Jockey Isaac Murphy was a pioneer in the thoroughbred industry, and in recent years, his contributions have gotten their due, most recently with some new additions at Isaac Murphy Park.
We have, as you see here, a piece of art here, one back over here, one by the artist Gordon Gildersleeve. Gordon, are you here? Thank you, Gordon. And also Kiptu Tarus, one of the artists. Now also, there's some art that's on the way, but we need some funding. Those art pieces are art being done by the Bochek family from California. And is Andy Light here? He will be fabricating the metal, this piece over here. We're also waiting for funding for an art piece, a collaboration with Gary Bibbs and LaVon Williams, and we hope as well to get funding for an artist from Dayton named Bing Davis. Now, these art panels that you see here, these historical panels, were designed by Louis Guida. I saw Louis here a minute ago. Thank you, Louis, and his team of designers. These images were fabricated by Howard Stovall. Used to be called Signs Now. I think it's called Image 360. So we want to thank Howard for his work in getting these to us for today's gathering. We're also joined by the, as you see behind us here, the Mustang Troop. When we have events here, we place a call and they're always here. So thank you to the Mustang Troops.
During the groundbreaking ceremony for this art garden, one of the speakers said, "Isaac Murphy is to Lexington what Muhammad Ali is to Louisville." Both were athletes who reached the pinnacle of their respective sport. The difference, the speaker said that day, is that Louisville celebrates the accomplishments of Muhammad Ali. It gives me great pleasure to stand here today and say that in Lexington, we now finally celebrate the accomplishments of Isaac Murphy. In fact, I marvel at how far we have come in 15 months since that groundbreaking ceremony in July 2014. What was just an unused plot of grass has become a beautiful park where we honor the accomplishments of not only Isaac Murphy, who rose to national prominence during a racing career that spanned 2 decades, but the many other black horsemen whose contributions to racing had for too long been overlooked. From what started as a grassroots effort several years ago by a group of motivated citizens who wanted to honor Murphy, the first jockey to win 3 Kentucky Derbies, has mushroomed into such a formative movement that we see some of our city's most notable and respected institutions coming on board and bringing with them their vast resources. How remarkable to see the Keeneland Library, the Kentucky Horse Park, and the Fayette County Public Schools, each a community pillar in their own right, at the table with these grassroots organizers who could only dream of a day like today. Just like they celebrate Muhammad Ali in Louisville, today in Lexington we celebrate Isaac Murphy, his personal story, and his place in Kentucky horse racing lore.
I'm Councilman James Brown. It's my pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. This is an exciting time for Lexington. And this is an exciting, eventful week for the 1st District, full of learning, history, and recognition. I would like to recognize the East End residents and neighborhood, the Bluegrass Community Foundation, the ABMAG Board, LFUCG, and everyone involved in making this Isaac Memorial Art Garden a reality. There's been a lot of hard work, but there's still a lot of hard work ahead of us. One is completing the Legacy Trail that will connect this beautiful art garden to the rest of the community. Fundraising to help fund the permanent art pieces that are going to be displayed in this art garden. I would also like to thank Dr. Pello McDaniel for his passion and his dedication to Isaac Murphy and the telling of his story to our community and to our city. And for those that don't know, I guess it's his city as well, since he was presented with the key to the city earlier this week. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today and supporting this effort and supporting the Isaac Memorial Art Garden.
Racing before the turn of the century and after was completely dominated by top black trainers and top black jockeys, and white men relied upon the horsemanship and the integrity of these trainers and jockeys for their tip-top horses. And then as the Jim Crow era came, the black men were relegated from being the guys that put the saddles on the back and who rode in those saddles, and they became grooms and hot walkers. And it's gotten to a point today where you're hard-pressed to even find an African-American in the stable area of a racetrack, and the number of actual riders or trainers you can count on the fingers of one hand. If you name any sport in America, whether it's football, basketball, track and field, swimming, golf, gymnastics, hockey, or baseball, the level of skill and knowledge today outstrips anything from a couple of decades ago to a century ago. But that is not the case in horse racing. The guys that rode in the Isaac Murphy area, Jimmy Wingfield, and those trainers, they knew more about horses and horse racing and what it took to get them to run than any participants in racing today in America. It's important to recognize the impact that Isaac Murphy had on horse racing and the pride that he instilled in the black community, especially right here in the Bluegrass. And equally important to keep alive the legacy of the quality of the horsemanship that Mr. Murphy brought to this athletic discipline.
To be in this space again, we were here in April to have another conversation about Isaac Murphy, but to have all of you here, to have the students here who had a chance to walk through the museum, to have all of these community leaders here to really participate in such a wonderful event is outstanding. The one thing I do want to share with you, and this is directed at the UK students and the young folks from William Wells Brown, and that is that the book I wrote on Isaac Murphy is a biography, and university professors rarely get into the community to do this kind of work. Our charge is generally to write books and to educate on university campuses. My point is this, is that if you want to have a life where your work has an impact, always think about community. Always think about the people who you should impact with your work. You should always pursue this idea of education, inspiration, and also try to empower people with your work. So I just want to leave that as a nugget for you to understand that, although I'm at a university, it does not absolve me from being responsible to the communities within which I live.
Me and my granddaddy, Green Murphy, live at the edge of town. We come to Lexington after my daddy joined up with the union. She did laundry for white folks like Mr. Owings. I was carrying a bundle of clothes when I met him. Which one of these horses is a thoroughbred? Do they really stand up or do they stay up all night? What makes them go so fast? What do they like to eat? What do I get to ride?
I want to say a brief word about the panels, and I invite you to, before you leave, to take time to look at the panels, read the text on them, and I think you will be quite impressed, as I was. If I can find my notes. First off, the very large panel that stands where the bus is parked is what we call the Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden Trailhead panel. It is a trailhead for the Legacy Trail, and that panel describes the ascent of the African-American jockey and how horse racing, popular before the Civil War, it surged after the Civil War. And black jockeys with a heritage of grooming and training and riding horses in Africa were well prepared as freemen to take advantage of racing's new popularity. Top black riders were athletic stars covered by the New York Times and the New York Herald and other newspapers. This panel also describes the mechanisms behind the demise and disappearance of the black jockeys. And this panel also has, please take a look at it, it has the pictures of 10 of the 12 black jockeys who have won the Kentucky Derby and the names of many other black horsemen, including people like Oscar Dishman, a relatively recent horseman, and we're proud today to have Oscar Dishman's daughter in the house with us today. Marilyn Dishman, stand up and be acknowledged. So what we're talking about today is not just ancient history, but recent history as well. Panel 2, right here to my left, is the, right here behind me is the Isaac Burns Murphy panel, and this is a biography panel that tells of Isaac's rise in prominence over his 2 decades of racing. The art on this piece of this panel is quite interesting because it is a photograph of the 1980 race, which was a a photo finish that was worn by Isaac, and is quite famous, and you can read about that on this panel. The other panel over here is about Isaac Murphy's house, and that's a fascinating panel, and I want you to please note that it talks about these rocks that are in the ground right here at surface level. Those rocks are from the foundation of Isaac Murphy's house, which stood right there. When we were beginning to build this park, we excavated those stones from his foundation, and when the park was being finished, we brought those stones back and incorporated them into our park. And I think that's a wonderful thing, and that panel tells you about that. Thank you. And lastly, the panel down here by the rain garden, right past the handsome man on the horseback, right, the Mustang troop. Thank you. Wave your hand. there's a panel back there at the Rain Garden that talks about how this park came to be and why this site was selected. And I do hope that you will take the time to look at these panels, and you will see why we call this an outdoor classroom. And with that is the unveiling, if I may use that term, of the interpretive panels at the Isaac Murphy Art Garden. I might add, these panels that you see here today are just temporary. The real panels, which will be made of high pressure laminate, will be installed at a later date.
Come forward.
For more information about Isaac Murphy and how the city of Lexington continues to honor his legacy, log on to the city's website, lexingtonky.gov. Fall is here and those leaves are turning, and soon they will be on the ground, which is why the city of Lexington is revving up its leaf collection program. Here's some more information.
The last couple of years we've collected around 1,500 tons of leaves, and we expect to collect that many and possibly more this year.
Leaf collection is a big job in Lexington, Fayette County, but Rob Allen says his folks are more ready than ever to get going to help residents clear the leaves from yards and streets.
The vacuum loose leaf collection program is for residents of Fayette County that get city trash pickup.
Streets, roads, and forestry workers will be vacuuming leaves Monday through Saturday for extended hours.
Several crews come by, a big vacuum machine, and suck them up. Then we transport them to our yard waste landfill where they're turned into compost. You know, it's an aesthetic thing, plus it's to keep the leaves out of the storm sewer system. We've had quite a bit of leaf drop, and what we don't want to see is those storm sewers get clogged up and we have flooding, and then the temperature drops and then you have ice.
Neighborhoods will get one visit this season, so knowing your pickup time is important. And it's being made easier thanks to a new interactive website.
Go to lexingtonky.gov/leaves, and there is a map detailing the collection areas of the city. You can type in just your street or both your house number and your street, and it'll tell you if you get collection, when that collection is scheduled for. But we're also going to have a feature on that map as similar to what they do for garbage collection, that's going to tell you leaf collection is on time, has been delayed by the weather. Plus this map is going to contain information as far as streets we've completed, where we're at, and where we're going.
Allen reminds citizens that only leaves should be piled up for pickup.
It should be leaves only, no sticks, debris, dead critters, garbage. Those things are a hazard to the workers and can also damage the equipment.
And if you miss a pickup or don't have one scheduled, no worries. There are still ways to get rid of your fallen leaves.
They can take their leaves out to the Haley Pike landfill. They certainly can use the yard waste bags, so they get coupons for free bags if they call LexCall 311, and of course their Lenny continues their year-round pickup schedules.
For more information about how you can get your leaves picked up and when they'll be visiting your house to get those leaves, you can log on to the city's website. It's lexingtonky.gov/leaves. And whether you're headed out to enjoy a beautiful fall day or you're just going to work or school, you want to know how traffic may affect your trip. And that's where the Division of Government Communications has got you covered, especially in the mornings with our show, Crosstown Traffic. Crosstown Traffic airs live weekday mornings from 6:30 to 8:30 and gives you the most up-to-date traffic news and even a street view with our live cameras so you can see where the delays are before you even leave the house. Remember, that's Crosstown Traffic only on GTV3. Now, here's a look at this week's lane closure report. Remember, you can get traffic updates 24/7 by following us on Twitter. Our handle is @LexRex. It's actually a busier than normal week here in the Urban County government with all the Breeders' Cup festivities. Here's a quick look at some of the meetings that are on the schedule, but for a complete listing of meetings and events, you can log on to the city's website. It's lexingtonky.gov. The city of Lexington is saying have tree will travel. That's because the city is looking for 3 nicely shaped trees to be our official holiday trees for this upcoming Christmas season. These trees should be 40 to 50 feet high and 20 to 25 feet wide. Either Norway spruce, Colorado spruce, or Douglas fir. No white pines, please. The trees must also meet the following guidelines. Have a pyramidal shape with fullness, especially at the bottom. The body of the tree should have few or no holes. The tree should not be growing into houses or into other trees. Access must be provided with clearance of at least 10 feet in width, with no power lines growing in the trees. There should also be no obstacles such as building preventing access, and we must be able to back a lowboy trailer up to the tree and place KU trucks on either side. So if you think you have a tree that meets that criteria, property owners should call Call at 311 or 859-425-2255. And if you want to donate your tree, please let us know. And if your tree is chosen, you will be contacted. Well, that's it for this edition of Lexington Now. We'll return next week with more news from your Urban County government. But in the meantime, you can keep up with what we're doing by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. For the staff and producers at GTV3, I'm Shabelle Roberts, and that's it for now.